We're doing things just a little bit different today. This case takes us out of Iowa and into Dallas, Texas. However, this case does have an Iowa component, but I felt really inclined to share this story with you all. On December 26, 1983, just the day after Christmas, 2-year-old Amber Nichole Crum went missing from Pleasant Grove in Dallas, Texas. I want to provide just a little bit of a backstory on Amber's life. Amber was born September 25, 1981, to Larry Crum and Stephanie Crum, now known as Stephanie Hughes. Stephanie and Larry were married when Amber was born, but shortly after that they separated, and ultimately their divorce was finalized December 1st, 1983, 25 days before Amber went missing. During this time, Amber's parents were living in separate states. Amber was living with her mother, Stephanie, and her live-in boyfriend, James Britt Monroe, in Dallas, Texas. On the morning of December 26, 1983, Monroe gets out of bed and he and Amber go down to McDonald's grocery store, which is only about a half mile to a mile from their house. Amber was seated in the passenger seat of James's pickup truck. So James leaves her in the passenger seat and he goes in to grab a pack of soda and some paper towels. He says that he was only in there for about 2 minutes, and when he came outside, Amber was gone. James Monroe and Stephanie Hughes report Amber missing. Now, the first thing police do is they want to start ruling people out. So the first people they look at are the parents. They quickly rule out Larry because he was in a completely separate state. And as soon as Larry, Amber's father, learns that she is missing, he goes to Dallas, Texas, and helps search for her. Investigators wasted no time when searching for Amber. A massive search had started right away. They had a helicopter even come in and help search the area for Amber. And they also dusted James's truck for fingerprints. I don't know whatever came of that, but I do know, according to CBS Dallas, Texas, they did a piece on this case, and they did say that they dusted James's truck for fingerprints. This is where this case takes a really interesting turn. So there was a lot of inconsistent statements in this case, but we're going to start with James Monroe. Police obviously want to rule him out first, of course, because he was the last one seen with Amber. But according to police, he gave inconsistent statements about what basically happened that morning. They also said that they believed that he knew more than what he was saying. However, to this day, James has maintained his innocence. Something else I found really interesting in the little piece that CBS News did, they say that a witness came forward that was at the gas station or the grocery store that morning and didn't see a child in the passenger seat of his pickup truck. He said that when James was inside, he pulled up and he was about 25 feet from James's pickup truck and would have seen a child, but didn't see a child. One of the most damning pieces of evidence in this case comes from Stephanie Hughes and a statement that she gave to police basically at the start of this case. So Stephanie initially tells police that the night before, so on Christmas night, around 9:30 at night, she goes in to check on Amber. She gets there and Amber appears to be still, cold, and her eyes are open and unblinking. She then says she believes Amber is dead. Something else I should mention is Stephanie basically says that when she got up the morning of December 26th, Amber and James were gone. Something else that she notes is that Amber's nightgown, blanket, and pillowcase had been washed, which was really interesting to her because James had been living there for 5 months and had never done laundry before. There were also reports up until this point of abuse going on in the home between James and Amber. There was even an interview with Lynn Hughes, which would be Stephanie's sister, where she basically says that she believed that Amber had been abused based on a statement that Stephanie made to her, indicating that Amber was being abused by James. So in January of 1984, so about 3 weeks after this occurred, they arrest Monroe. But Amber has still not been found at this point. But they still charge him and think that they still have a decent case, even despite the fact that they don't have Amber. So James is charged with Amber's murder. So then the case goes into what's called a pretrial preliminary hearing. You may be familiar with this. They just got done doing this in the Charley Kirk trial with Tyler Robinson. That was a preliminary pretrial. So basically, it just aired out some of the evidence and some of the issues and basically determining whether or not there is probable cause to proceed with an actual trial. And this is where the case takes a turn because Stephanie Hughes gets up there to testify. And then she tells basically investigators and everybody in the room that she believes that Amber's alive. So they get through the rest of the prelim hearing and the judge comes back and says, basically, you don't have enough evidence to go to trial in this case. So he dismisses the charges. And so at that point, Monroe walks free. Later, they tried to indict Monroe with a grand jury, but they decline. and the murder charges are never refiled. And that's basically where this case sits today. There's never been any other charges filed. No one's ever been arrested in this case outside of back in 1984. This case is at a standstill, sort of. I will say in the piece with CBS, they do say that this case, while it is a cold case, it's still actively being worked. So it's kind of both. The family went as far as to hire a private investigator to help kind of get some things moving in the case, and it did. Also, Stephanie and Larry have never failed to stop fighting for their daughter. Larry especially to this day fights for his daughter so incredibly hard. I actually had the opportunity to meet Mr. Larry at an event hosted by the Elizabeth Collins Foundation, which you may be familiar with, Lyric and Elizabeth and the Evansdale girls from Iowa. They basically dedicated a whole island on Myers Lake, to homicide victims and victims of violent crime. And they gave Larry a space there, a memorial for his daughter, because he was unable to lay his daughter to rest properly. There has been some other theories in this case. Like there was a serial killer at one point, David Elliott Penton, who seemed to be a pretty decent lead. I don't really know where we're at with that. But that was a possibility that they were looking at. Larry said something with CBS that really struck me, that really stuck with me. And he said, if you continue to apply pressure long enough, something's going to break. And Larry, I so agree with that statement. We have to keep providing pressure. The public has to keep providing pressure. Y'all, we cannot let this case go unsolved for any longer. This case, we have to bring the perpetrator to justice. We have to, and we have to bring Amber home. Larry, if you're watching this, I just admire you so much and your strength. You are an incredible man. I was so honored to be able to meet you and to share your daughter's story. We will never let her be forgotten. If you or someone you know has any information about the disappearance of Amber Nichole Crum, please contact 214-671-4212, and that is the Dallas Police.